Kylian Mbappé is personally calling Michael Olise, describing Madrid's restaurants, talking about the weather, telling him about the Bernabeu nights, about the Champions League, about what it feels like to wear white. And Michael Olise is listening, the most creative player at the 2026 World Cup. The man with 6 assists in 6 matches, the man who tied a 70-year-old record with Mbappe during the tournament, the man Barcelona have been dreaming about for 2 years, the man Bayern Munich thought they had locked down until 2029. He is listening to Mbappe, and he wants Real Madrid. Let that sink in, Barcelona fans. The player you wanted more than almost anyone, the player you watched destroy teams in the Bundesliga and thought, yes, that is our player. That is who we need at Camp Nou. He is choosing the Bernabeu. Welcome back to Robert's Football Talk. I am your host, and if you are new here, subscribe right now, because today we are breaking down the transfer story that is making Barcelona fans lose sleep. Michael Olise to Real Madrid, the Mbappe phone calls, the 3 teammates recruiting him, the secret pact between club presidents, the €200 million price tag that could make him the most expensive player in football history, and the moment that changed everything. Subscribe now. Let us go. Part 1. What Mbappe actually said and did. The recruiting operation that changed this transfer. Let me take you inside what has been happening since the World Cup started. Because this is not just Real Madrid making an official bid and Olise deciding yes. This is a coordinated recruiting operation that involves 3 French players, a club president, and conversations that happened during training sessions and team dinners at the World Cup. The man who has been pushing this harder than anyone. Reports from Sport Bild confirm that Mbappe has actively promoted Real Madrid to Olise throughout the World Cup. Personally, face-to-face, phone calls, conversations. And here is the detail that tells you everything about how serious Mbappe is about this. He told reporters after France's win over Iraq that it is so easy to play with Michael Olise. He makes it easier, playing with his head up, playing with his head up. Mbappe is publicly praising Olise in press conferences, publicly describing what it feels like to play with him. Not just to be nice, not just to be generous with a teammate. He is building the case. He is putting it on record. He wants Olise at Real Madrid, and he is using every platform available to him to make that happen. And then behind the scenes, according to Yahoo Sports, Mbappe has been assuring Olise that Real Madrid need and want him. He has been raving about life in Madrid. The exclusive restaurants, the warm weather, the city, the culture, the feeling of wearing that white shirt in the Bernabeu. This is a man who loves Madrid, trying to sell Madrid to the player he most wants as his teammate. Tchouaméni and Konaté joined in. 3 French players. 3 Real Madrid-connected figures. All talking to Olise every day at the World Cup. All telling him the same thing. Come to Madrid. You belong here. This is your level. Olise listened. And according to L'Equipe, he has made it clear to those close to him that Real Madrid is his preferred destination. Now I want to ask you something before we go further. Is Mbappe the most powerful recruiter in football right now? The man who can personally influence €200 million transfer decisions just by making phone calls and talking about restaurants? Drop your answer in the comments right now. Subscribe to Robert's Football Talk right now. Share this video. Because the Barcelona angle is where this story gets really painful for one half of El Clasico. Part 2. The Barcelona wound. The player they wanted and are losing to Madrid. Let me tell you something about Barcelona and Michael Olise, because it needs to be said clearly. Barcelona have been watching Olise for 2 years. They identified him at Crystal Palace when he was destroying Premier League defenses before Bayern Munich came for him. They watched him at Bayern tear apart opponents in the Bundesliga. They watched him at the World Cup produce 6 assists in 6 matches, tie a 70-year-old record with Mbappe, produce a bicycle kick that hit the post and broke the internet, be named the most important player at the tournament by Thierry Henry, and they wanted him, desperately. They believed he was the player to replace Yamal on the right if Yamal moved centrally. They believed he was the creative force that could make Barcelona's attack the most dangerous in Europe again. But here is Barcelona's problem. They have financial constraints that Real Madrid do not have. When Olise's value reaches €200 million, Barcelona cannot compete with a Real Madrid that just signed Bernardo Silva, Konaté, and Cucurella all on free transfers and saved that transfer budget for a signature moment. Florentino Perez fell in love with Olise when he watched him tear Real Madrid apart in the Champions League last season. Florentino Perez does not forget things like that, and when the president of Real Madrid decides he wants a player, the weight of that institution, the history, the Champions League pedigree, the Bernabeu, all of it comes down on that player's head. Barcelona are watching this happen in real time. Their target, their dream signing, being convinced by their biggest rival's players to go to their biggest rival. It is the transfer equivalent of being robbed in broad daylight by your next-door neighbor. Part 3. The €200 million question. Can Real Madrid actually do this? Here is the financial reality of this transfer, and it is eye-watering. Olise joined Bayern Munich from Crystal Palace for €55 million in 2024. 1 year and a World Cup later, his market value is estimated at €200 million. His value has nearly quadrupled in 12 months because of what he showed at Bayern and then what he showed to the entire planet at the World Cup. Bayern Munich have no interest in selling. They want to extend his contract from €14 million per year to nearly €25 million. They want to show him their Champions League ambitions. They want to build their attack around him. They hold all the cards. A contract until 2029. No release clause. The power to simply say no and mean it. But here is the detail that matters above everything else. According to Transfer Feed, a secret pact exists between Florentino Perez and Bayern Munich president Herbert Hainer. Neither club will sign a player from the other without first informing the other club. Real Madrid have not yet made official contact with Bayern, Olise, or his agents. Officially, this transfer does not exist yet. But unofficially, Mbappe is calling, Tchouaméni is persuading, Konate is lobbying, and Olise has requested a meeting with Bayern president Hainer immediately after the World Cup to discuss his future and his salary. That meeting request is the signal. Players who are happy and planning to stay do not request emergency meetings with club presidents about their future the moment their value triples. Olise wants his salary to reflect his new status. Bayern will offer nearly €25 million. Real Madrid could offer more. And if Olise decides the project at the Bernabeu under Mourinho, with Mbappe alongside him and the Champions League, every season is more attractive than Bayern's offer, the €200 million fee becomes the only question left. Can Real Madrid pay €200 million? This is the club that signed Mbappe, Bernardo Silva, Konate, all on free transfers and saved their entire transfer budget. This is the club where Florentino Perez said in Madrid you always need more. This is the club that turned down a record bid for Julian Alvarez and kept building through free agents, specifically to have the budget available for one signature statement signing. Olise at €200 million might be exactly that statement. Subscribe to Robert's Football Talk right now, because what comes next is the stuff that makes Barcelona fans genuinely furious. Part 4. The record that Mbappe and Olise already tied together. The proof that this partnership is historic. Here is the detail that nobody is talking about enough, because it is the most compelling statistical argument for why this transfer has to happen. During the 2026 World Cup, Mbappe and Olise tied a record set 68 years ago by Raymond Kopa and Just Fontaine, two legendary French players who were Real Madrid icons. By achieving 5 player-to-player assists between each other in a single year, Mbappe and Olise matched what Kopa and Fontaine did in 1958. 5 assists. Mbappe assisted Olise twice. Olise assisted Mbappe 5 times. In 1 calendar year of international football together. They have not played a single club game together. They have only played together for France. And they have already matched a partnership record that was set 68 years ago by 2 players who were legends at Real Madrid. Now imagine this partnership at club level, every week, training together, developing the combination instinctively, knowing each other's runs before they happen. Olise finding Mbappe in the channels with his head-up passes, Mbappe creating the space that allows Olise to cut inside onto his left foot, week after week in La Liga, in the Champions League, in the biggest games in Europe. That partnership at Real Madrid would be one of the most devastating attacking combinations club football has ever seen. Not since Messi and Suarez at Barcelona, not since Ronaldo and Bale at Madrid. The connection they have shown for France in 6 matches of a World Cup suggests what they could produce across an entire season together at the Bernabeu. Barcelona had their Messi and Suarez. They still talk about it, they still mourn it. And now Real Madrid are about to have Mbappe and Olise. That is the thing that is really going to sting. Part 5. The Mourinho system. Why Olise fits perfectly, and why this makes Real Madrid unstoppable. Let me talk tactics, because the fit between Olise and Mourinho's system is something that every serious football analyst needs to understand. Mourinho's best attacking teams have always been built on one principle: a wide player who can beat his man one-on-one and deliver or cut inside and create. At Chelsea, he had Arjen Robben before Robben left. At Inter, he had Samuel Eto'o. At his first Real Madrid, he had Cristiano Ronaldo. The elite wide player is always the engine of what Mourinho builds offensively. Olise, at 24 years old, is the best wide creator in European football right now. Not just by World Cup assist numbers, by Bundesliga numbers, by Champions League numbers, by every metric that measures what a wide player does at the highest level consistently. Mourinho needs a player who presses hard without the ball. Olise leads France in sprint counts per game and does the same at Bayern. Mourinho needs a player who can play both sides of the pitch. Olise operates on the right, cutting inside onto his left foot or wide on the left and behind. Mourinho needs a player whose creativity can unlock defenses that sit deep against Madrid's Galáctico name power. Olise ties knots in organized defenses that Vinicius and Mbappe cannot. And with Mbappe through the middle and Olise wide, Mourinho has the most dangerous wide-to-central combination in world football. The pair who already tied a 68-year-old record together for France, playing in the same system every week. Under the most demanding and motivating coach in football, Real Madrid's attack next season with Olise added does not look beatable by anything in La Liga. It does not look beatable by much in the Champions League either. Part 6. What happens next? The timeline that matters. Here is where we are right now and what comes next. Olise has requested a meeting with Bayern president Herbert Heiner. That meeting happens this week or early next week after the World Cup final festivities. Bayern will present their offer. Salary increase to nearly 25 million euros. A plan for the squad around him. A Champions League pathway. Real Madrid have not made official contact yet, but Mbappe has been on the phone. Tchouaméni has been persuading, and Florentino Perez is waiting, patient, knowing that the meeting between Olise and Heiner will tell him everything he needs to know about whether the door is open. If Olise comes out of that meeting satisfied, he stays at Bayern, probably, until the next transfer window when the conversation starts again. If Olise comes out of that meeting and calls Mbappe to say, "I am not sure about this," Real Madrid will know within hours. And Florentino Perez will pick up the phone to Herbert Heiner the next morning and make an opening offer. That offer will start at 150 million euros. Bayern will say no. Madrid will go to 175 million. Bayern will negotiate. And somewhere between 190 million and 220 million euros, this transfer either happens or it does not. The window closes in early September. The timeline is tight. But Real Madrid have done impossible transfers in impossible windows before. And when they have Mbappe personally recruiting on their behalf from inside the France World Cup camp, impossible becomes considerably more possible. Barcelona are watching all of this. And they cannot do anything about it. That is the full breakdown. Mbappe on the phone describing Madrid's restaurants. 3 French players recruiting Olise at the World Cup. The 68-year-old record already tied together. Bayern's 200 million euro price tag, the secret president pact, the meeting that decides everything. And Barcelona losing their dream signing to their biggest rival. 3 questions. Drop all 3 in the comments right now. First, does Michael Olise end up at Real Madrid this summer, or does Bayern hold on? Second, if Olise joins Madrid, is the Mbappe and Olise partnership the most dangerous attacking duo in world football? Third, Barcelona fans, honestly, how much does this hurt watching your biggest transfer target being recruited by Mbappe for Real Madrid? Drop everything below. I read every single one. And Barcelona fans, I especially want to hear from you today. This has been Robert's Football Talk. Hit that like button as hard as you can. Share this video with every Real Madrid fan and every Barcelona fan you know, because this transfer story is just getting started. Subscribe if you are not already here. New videos every single week. I will see you in the next one.